Symmetra's primary fire is awful, and it will really hold Symmetra back. Here's a quick clip I could show you for some proof. What the hell? God, this beam is so freaking bad. What the? Still 50%. As you can see, I was at max charge and unable to kill that Moira. These are the problems with Symmetra's beam. It takes too long to charge, the range is too short, and the hit detection sucks. Here are some ways I think Symmetra's primary fire, and in a sense herself, can be saved. These ideas will be in the order of most logical to least in my opinion. I think simply reverting Symmetra's primary fire to the initial 3.0 or 2.0 state will save us a lot of trouble. If they do this, I think the range should be increased a bit to 12 meters, because 10 meters is a bit too short. For the rest of these ideas, I am going on the notion of Symmetra's 2.0 primary fire with its old auto-lock ability. However, these ideas could work with their 3.0 beam. What if, when Symmetra was attacking with her primary fire, she would passively heal 30 shields a second until she stops dealing damage? This would help give Symmetra a bit of sustain that wouldn't be too overwhelming, since it would only regen her shield health. Instead of healing shields, what if Symmetra gained shields? Attacking with the primary fire could grant Symmetra temporary shields, capping at 100 extra shield health. I think the shields should gain at 25 shields a second, which means it would take 4 seconds of damage to cap off. Personally, this is my favorite idea, and I think it would suit the new Symmetra well. Personally, I'm not too fond on this idea, but what if Symmetra did something of a consistent 80 to 90 DPS with her primary fire? No worrying about the ramp up. I've actually had this idea for a little while now. What if Symmetra's charge was determined by how close she was to her enemy? For example, if an enemy is 4 to 0 meters away from Symmetra, they are getting hit with that max 120 DPS immediately. 8 to 4 meters would be 60 DPS, and lastly, being the furthest away at 8 to 12 meters would be her pathetic 30 DPS. Now this would be a change justifying Symmetra's standard 200 health and lack of defenses. With this change, Symmetra would still be able to deal with flankers if they enter her range without being too oppressive. My only worry for this is that Symmetra could become pretty unstoppable if she sets up a sneaky teleporter ambush and wipes a team. I've seen this idea floating around my comments section for a little while, as well as the forums. What if hitting a fully charged orb would bump Symmetra's primary fire up 1 level? I personally don't like this idea too much, as charging up the gun would be a lot easier than it is on live. The orbs are pretty easy to hit, and there would be no excuse for not always being at max charge. What if Symmetra's 2.0 beam was on an 11-second cooldown? The player would get an indicator similar to Zenyatta's Discord orb, indicating if she can attack a target. Attacking the target would do 120 DPS over 2 seconds. This avoids the ramp up and gives Symmetra an instant burst if she wants to kill someone. I'm not too fond on this idea as well, as Symmetra would be stuck with her orbs while the beam is on cooldown, and she could only beam 1 person. This is Torvald from Paladins, and his primary fire was once very similar to Symmetra's. A while ago they changed his primary fire from an auto-lock beam to these fast-moving projectiles. While they did that, they moved the beam to an ability. Nullify will auto-lock onto a target in range and silence them, i.e. a Sombra hack. Torvald cannot do anything else while using this. Torvald can also cancel the ability early if the player wants to. The auto-lock on this ability is actually better than Symmetra's, with the beam being able to be rotated full 180 degrees while still being attached. The beam also does a small amount of damage that can be upped with a certain talent. Imagine this on Symmetra, a hack that does damage and is on a 12-second cooldown. I personally don't like this idea too much, as it's pretty much stealing a gimmick from Sombra and flat out copying the ability from Paladins. These are some ideas for Symmetra's new beam. This beam needs help, and Blizzard is giving us the silent treatment. Symmetra will be just as niche as she is now if she goes to live like this. I'm YellowNinja, and I advise you to go on the Overwatch forums and complain about Symmetra's primary fire before it's too late.